Good morning and welcome to the Imperfectly Charming podcast. Today I have a wonderful guest. His name is Jason Kotecki, and I'm going to read a little bit about Jason before we dive into our conversation. Jason Kotecki is an artist who speaks really, really well. He combines whimsy, wit, and extraordinary art to help audiences beat burnout, spark innovation, and see new possibilities by breaking rules that don't exist. So, welcome, Jason, to the Imperfectly Charming podcast. And this is part of a series that we're doing in conjunction with the Joy Summit, which is coming to my community in January of 2026. And you are the opening speaker.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you, Sheryl. Thanks for having me here. And yeah, I'm super excited. It's a great time of year to have a Joy Summit, right? Especially here in the Midwest, right? Where when we're getting tired of winter. And I'm from the Midwest. We're from Wisconsin. I love all four seasons. But once you start to roll into close to February, you're like, okay, I think we're done here. So this is going to be great.
And the theme, I believe, for the summit is Here Comes the Sun, right? The Joy
Hmm.
Summit, Here Comes the Sun. So, like you
Yep.
said, it's bringing a little bit of sun to all those dark days that we have, and where we're getting ready to, anticipate getting into spring. And so, this is, I think, perfect timing. So, is there anything you'd like to share with us from other than what I described in your bio? Any other little tidbits you want to get before we start?
Um, one thing that's kind of interesting about us, my wife Kim and I, we work together on our business, and we've been doing that for over 20 years now. We've been married for 25. So yeah, we live in Sheboygan, and we homeschool our three kids. So we have a lot of fun as a family up here in Sheboygan. Part of the reason we moved to Sheboygan is because it's so fun to say. No, but I'm open to whatever you want to talk about. I'm excited to kick things off at the Joy Summit for sure. I'm honored to be part of it.
I know you touched a little bit about the winter, but does that Here Comes the Sun theme mean anything personally to you?
Yes, actually, I think I have. Yeah. Oh, here's so I did a series of paintings. So this one is actually called "Here Comes the Sun," and weirdly, so Kim and I had been dreaming of living on a lake home for ever since we first started dating. And during the pandemic, which was obviously a particularly dark time, we went from not knowing how long our business would survive, because I do a lot of a lot of my income comes from speaking, and that was kind of frowned upon, those live audience things. We went from that to, by a ridiculous turn of events, moving into our dream home on Lake Michigan. And I actually put a little short film together. If anyone is interested in that, it's our web. It's escapeadulthood.com/sun. So pretty easy to remember. But one of the things that was a recurring theme as we were going through the ups and downs of looking for this house, and there was a time where we lost out on the offer, and then it came back around kind of miraculously. We kept hearing the Beatles song "Here Comes the Sun," and it was weird how it would just be in a restaurant, it would be on the radio, and so once we finally got the home, I ended up creating a series of paintings based on that song and the lyrics of the song. So there's like 9 paintings. Little Darlin' was one, and just taking some of the insights, and it was just like the whole thing was just a representation of what is the theme of this summit, which is even in the darkest times, the sun is coming. Sometimes it's the darkest right before sunrise happens. So yeah, definitely kind of meant to be in terms of the theme and what it means to us.
Yeah, it sounds like it was kind of meant to be that
Hmm.
you are our opening speaker of the day. So you do speak a lot of, in researching, you speak a lot of joy and wonder. And what's something recently that brought you that pure childlike joy that you can share with us?
Oh boy. Um, I think in general, That's one of my favorite things about having kids is to be able to see life through their eyes and they're seeing things for the first time. And so I love that. My son Ben and I, we are both, well, our whole family is Cub fans, but me and Ben get really into it. And so watching their run into the playoffs, it didn't end up the way we'd hoped, but some of the big wins that they had, Ben was too little to really be to remember when they won the World Series. He was just on that edge. So this was kind of the first time of him seeing the playoffs, seeing Wrigley Field, seeing how exciting those games are, and of course then the wins that the Cubs had. So that was cool. Like that was probably a recent one of being able to share that, right? Because that's what the best part of joy is sharing it with someone. It's one of my saddest things is as a speaker, I do a lot of traveling. And as much as we can, sometimes we'll bring the family along. I'll bring one of the kids along for a daddy-daughter trip or a father-son trip. But sometimes I go to some cool places and I'm there by myself. And I'm just like, oh, I wish I could share this with other people. I wish my family could be here. I wish my kids could be here. So I guess that's a thing that I think that this summit is going to be a breath of fresh air for people. And so I hope like if you're watching this and you're like, this kind of sounds kind of neat, like come, but also like bring friends because that's one thing I often hear in my own speaking engagements is afterwards someone might have been there for work or something and they're like, oh, I wish my husband was there. I wish my wife was there. I wish my kids could have heard this. So yeah, so that would be just one little thing I'd throw out there as a little nudge for anyone who's thinking about coming.
Oh, I love that. I love that you're talking about seeing the eyes through your child. And my children are both grown, but I see that through my granddaughters who are 1 and 3.
Yeah.
And just bringing back that spark of joy is it reminds you of what you have inside and that childlike wonder that we all can have and we all can use. And we just have to tap into that.
Yep.
You also talk about escaping adulthood.
Yes.
And adultitis, I see you have a shirt on.
Yeah.
Adultitis
Adultitis
fighter.
fitter.
Yeah,
Yep.
can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so adultitis is a condition that my wife and I sort of discovered shortly after we got married, when we were, excited to start life on our own and realized that much of adulthood is not what it was cracked up to be when we were like 5. You're all excited when you're a little kid, like I can't wait to be grown up and I can drive and drink beer and all these things that you're not allowed to do as a kid. And then, of course, it comes with all these other things like bills and taxes and things like that. So I think what at its core adultitis is, for anyone who knows, arthritis, the itis part is the swelling of, right? So it's the swelling of the adult. So if you have too much adult, like it has crowded out your childlike spirit, you're going to have problems. You're going to be more stressed out. You're going to be more anxious. You're going to lose that sense of joy and wonder. And so Kim and I, we see this. We've seen it, 25 years ago. We still see it today. That people are not living their best lives. They're living what Thoreau called lives of quiet desperation. And people are just kind of looking around, being like, "Is this all there is?" And of course, the answer is no. It's not all there is. There's a lot of wonder and joy, but again, you have to open your eyes to see it, and you have to acknowledge what we're up against. So that's part of what we're doing is we're trying to get people aware of adultitis and try to help them kick it to the curb.
One thing I like to do to kick that to the curb in my life is I always like to try to plan something fun and put it on my calendar.
Mm.
Like I have that fun to look forward to. So
Yep.
I always try to have something fun upcoming in my life.
Yeah, Kim and I, we talk about that a lot, that sometimes the best part of vacation is the looking forward to. And so when we are on a vacation, we're savoring it as much as we can, but as we get to the end of it, we're already, game planning when our next one is, even if it's a year away, because to your point, like just that anticipation, like, again, that's the thing when you're a little kid, right? Like you look forward to Christmas, you look forward to Halloween, you look forward to Valentine's Day. Like there's always summer break. There's always this excitement that we kind of lose as adults. So being able to create that for ourselves is a good tip.
Yeah, Good, good. You also encourage people to break the rules that don't exist. Can you share a couple examples of that?
Yeah,
Like,
well, I have to verify that sometimes people think I'm just advocating for pure chaos, and of course, you should probably pay your taxes and listen and obey traffic lights and things like that. But it's weird how we have so many rules that we do have to follow with real consequences if we break them, but yet we add even more to our plate that do nothing but keep us from having joy and living our best life. So examples, a very simple one is, thou shalt not eat dessert first is one. If you were a kid, you would, you always wanted to eat dessert first. Then of course you get older and you're like, again, if you finally have the chance to do something about it because you're the adult, but yet we are so ingrained, like, oh, that's not appropriate. I'll spoil my dinner, things like that. Other ones that are a little bit more insidious is like that thou shalt always brag about how busy you are, right? As if busyness has become a symbol of a badge of honor. Um, thou shalt, talk about vacations. Thou shalt do and see everything you possibly can on your vacation, right? So that when you come home from vacation, you're worn out and you say, I need another vacation, right? So things like that. Thou shalt hate Mondays. How many people hate Mondays because they really don't like their job, right? I don't remember. Kim and I coined this phrase a while back called Sunday night dread. And I remember having it when I was a kid. The weekend's over, school tomorrow. Ugh. The worst Sunday night dread is after summer break. But I see like a lot of people have Sunday night dread all the time in adulthood. And frankly, I don't think I have ever had Sunday night dread because I've been very intentional about creating a life that I enjoy and creating a job that I enjoy. Now that doesn't mean it is easy, very, very hard. But when you're passionate about something, when you're passionate about your work, there's something exciting about, okay, I got my break and I'm excited to get back at it again. So that's kind of an overview. There's some fun ones, there's some silly rules that don't exist, and then yeah, some more serious ones that we get stuck in as well.
you said a word in there that I think people should pay more attention to is intentional. We
Mm,
just get caught up in our daily life where it's just we're on this wheel. But when
yep.
you're intentional about creating these magical moments for yourself, that's where that joy and that spark comes in. If we could
Yep.
we could get out of our own way and be intentional about our next move. So, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about your art. It is full of whimsy and color. How does creativity or making art help you stay grounded in joy?
Well, Frank,
Especially, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, go
especially in
ahead.
times of things that are feeling heavy, in the
Mm.
world, things feel so heavy. And how do you combat that with your art?
Yeah, well, it starts with the fact that art has was kind of my first love. It was something that I loved doing ever since I was little. It was kind of the first talent that I realized I was pretty good at. And for me, there's something about art, and I think everyone has this, although it might be a little rusty, but I think everyone has something in their life that when they're engaged in it, it's almost like time speeds up and slows down at the same time, right? Like it speeds up because it just goes so fast. It's like, oh my gosh, it was so fun. But then it slows down because then it's like all the stuff of the world just kind of like fades away and you're just able to like focus. And so for me, that's what art is for me. Um, I know, like for my wife Kim, she likes to dabble in photography and she likes going on nature walks. And for her, I think that's the same thing for her. Um, and so yeah, so being in my studio, it's kind of like a little bit of a cocoon from all of the craziness in the world, and creating art helps me sort of process those things. So like yeah, even like this, like the Here Comes the Sun helped me process not only the journey that we had been on to get this house, but we were still in the middle of the pandemic, right? And there was still a lot of darkness and confusion and fear. And so most of my artwork tends to be pretty optimistic, and I think it's in some ways it's trying to comfort myself, and in the process, it hopefully it brings light to others as well. So I heard a line from a musician that I really like named John Foreman, and I think he borrowed this from someone else, so I don't know who the original quote was, but it was this: doubt your doubts and believe your beliefs. And I think sometimes we get caught in the doubts and we think they're real. And we forget about the things we believe in. And so for me, creating art is about believing my beliefs. Like, this is what I believe. I believe that the sun is going to come out. I believe that light beats the darkness. I believe these things. And so by painting them, sort of crystallizes them, solidifies them, makes them tangible into a piece of art, a painting, and then something that now can kind of transport that message to others, which is what that's what I try to do. So I never thought of it this way before, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good way to put it. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Oh, you are welcome. I love creating things as well. And sometimes I feel like I get so busy in my life that that just falls to the side. But it shouldn't. It should be part of our daily, weekly, if not daily, things that we try and do for our soul, right?
Yep.
To create. And I know that I have been looking for a painting class in my area, and I just haven't found one that coincides with my schedule. But I'm
Mhm.
still on the hunt for that, and I can certainly create at home. I know that when I am even just coloring with my granddaughter, it just sparks joy.
Yeah.
Sparks joy, and it's fun and it's creative, and it brings that childlike wonder back.
Yeah. Well, something you touched on there about like our souls. And I believe that we're all in a spiritual war in many ways. And I think about that a lot. And like a lot of times I've noticed that like the devil or evil, or in this case adultitis you could call it, always tries to distract me and pull me away from things like being in my studio. And I realized one day, I'm like, it never tries to trick me into being in my studio. And I'm like, like, look at in your life the things that your kind of your heart or your soul is drawn to, and how there's always a excuse, right? Like, oh, I got to finish that, or oh, look, this came up, or this came up. And it's like, it never tricks me into like doing that. So that tells me like, well, I should probably be doing more of that, because otherwise that would be the thing that I would be being tricked into by all of the adultitis, right?
That is exactly right. That internal judge that is there, that is always beating us down, telling us we're not enough.
Hmm.
It just telling us all the negative things. Like you said, it's never pushing us towards that creativity. It's
Yep.
telling us all the excuses why we shouldn't.
Yep.
And that's even more important, to be more intentional about those creativity projects that you can have in your life. And it
Yeah.
could be so many things.
Yeah.
So, do you want to give any type of sneak peek at what you're going to speak at the Joy Summit? I'm guessing it's around Here Comes the Sun, Joy, and
Yeah.
whatever, or we could be surprised. Any little
Well, there's
tidbits?
always going to be a couple little surprises in there that I throw in, but you can definitely expect that we will be getting into adultitis. Be going a little bit deeper into how we can spot it in our lives, and most importantly, what do we do about it? So, a lot of what I do in my speeches is it's sort of like walking through my art gallery with me, and I share with you different paintings, and then I tell you the stories behind them. And it's not just the surface level, like, oh well, I painted this blue because I was sad. It's like there's a metaphor to it. There's something that I think that within the story impacts everyone, right? Something that everyone can relate to. And so I think that's one of the neat things about what I do is to be able to take people on a little bit of a roller coaster ride, and there'll be some laughter. There'll be some heavy moments, some heart moments for sure. But we always end up at the end of the ride with a big smile on your face and a feeling of like, wow, that was awesome. I want to do that again, and kind of feel like a little uplifted. So yeah, but I share stories about some stuff that my kids have done, and ways that I have succumbed to adultitis at times, and how I've overcome it. And it's always it's a fun little ride. So yeah, I definitely invite everyone watching to make sure they make time to be there.
I do know that a lot of people struggle with the things that are happening around the world, and and the things that are happening in the world and joy, to they don't seem to equal each other, right? But
Right.
both can be true. Both can be.
Yep.
So I think that's what people have to realize is that even though there's terrible things that are happening, us putting joy and good vibrations out into the world is lifting that for the world.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I justify not falling into the prey of that deep, dark heaviness. And not that I don't feel that at times,
Sure.
but I fight my way out of it and search for the joy. So
Yep.
both can be true. Uh,
Yep.
is there anything else you want to share with us today before I let you get back to your busy life of fighting adultitis?
Well, I would love to invite people to check out our website at escapeadulthood.com. There's a couple of things to point out there. We have an intake. You can it's free. You can find out if you have adultitis, and if you do, what stage you are currently in. So that might be worth doing before you come to the summit. And then every Sunday morning, I send out a little message with little nuggets of hope, little stories that I would love if anyone's interested to sign up for our newsletter. But just to touch on what you just said about the both are true. There's a part in my talk where I talk about dandelions. When they turn white and fluffy, and how most adults see them as terrible, terrible weeds that have taken over their yard. But of course, 4 and 5 year olds, they don't see them as weeds; they see them as wishes. And one of the things I point out is exactly what you just said, is that both are true, is that they are weeds and they are wishes. And it's not about pretending that there's not bad things around us or that the world isn't, isn't in need of some help, but it's about the superpower that I think we all have that we take for granted, which is we get to choose which one we want to focus on. So are we focusing on the weeds? Are we focusing on the wishes? Are we focusing on the problem, or is it an opportunity? Is it the darkness, or are we focused on the light? So I think that was a great example that really sums up kind of what I'll be talking about at the summit.
I absolutely love that. And you sparked joy when you talked about it. I write a weekly blog, and one of my earlier blogs was called Dandelion Wishes. And it was exactly
Nice.
what you just said.
Same
So that,
wavelength. Yeah.
yeah, that sparked real joy for me.
Cool.
Um, I am honored to be able to interview you today, and we will make sure that we have all your uh, links in the show notes. And the summit is the end of January. It's the last Saturday in January of 2026. I'd love for everybody to come and meet Jason and listen to him. And I'm so appreciative of having you here today. So thank you
Thank,
so much. I
thank
look
you,
forward to
Cheryl.
hearing you.
Good. Yeah. Well, I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Jason, and you have a fantastic day fighting adultitis.
Thanks. You too.
Okay, bye.